All right, I'll say it. I'll be the one. If nobody else wants this take, let it be mine. I had fun with that Super Bowl. I hope you did as well. Of course, the vibes were different. We've talked about it for a couple of weeks. Seahawks, Patriots, kind of weird. We've been extremely spoiled here as Chiefs fans. Do we just expect the Chiefs to get there, or literally every time before this year, Patrick Mahomes at least gets you to the game before the Super Bowl? So the vibes were all strange, all different, kind of unpleasant to end an unpleasant Chiefs season. But last night wasn't about the Chiefs. We'll talk about them today, what they can learn from Super Bowl 60 and what the Seahawks and Patriots may have showed you a little bit of last night. But I had fun. I hope you did as well. Welcome into everything else. I am Joshua Brisco. Tucker Franklin, fresh back from San Francisco, will be joining us in mere moments, pushing all the buttons behind the proverbial glass. I have a few theories as to why this was so much fun. I will start with the one that probably didn't apply to you unless you jumped on board after I posted about it on socials, which I would not have encouraged you to do. I didn't encourage you to do. I had fun for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons, though, was right before the game started, right before the first commercial break, actually, I think. A few of us kind of collectively agreed. Was I the one that shouted this and then got everyone on board? It's very hard to say, and frankly, not important. But someone, maybe me, shouted something along the lines of 1 drink for sports betting, 2 drinks for AI, and 3 if one of these commercials makes anyone cry in this basement. Also establishing everything else as a 1 drink minimum. I think that's just a good rule. We did get a couple of tears. I don't remember what happened. I was upstairs. And there were a lot of AI commercials right out of the gate. I make a good espresso martini. Made a little picture of those just to kind of, have one loaded and ready to go. Made a lot of progress through that. Very early with a lot of AI brands whose names did not stick in my brain. That's a hell of a use for infinite money. So that may have gotten things going. And we had bonus drinks for He Gets Us and Any Surprise Crypto, which there was a late surprise crypto commercial. We talked about this on Friday, that we had the NFT year and the crypto year, and that I figured this would be the AI year. Holy smokes, was it ever. So, maybe that helped. And honestly, obviously, I've worked most Super Bowls in some form or fashion for a very long time now, and we all have a very different level of intensity in the games when the Chiefs are playing in it. So I am certainly enjoying, the casual nature of a casual Super Bowl. Even the one that the one the Chiefs didn't play in, Rams Bengals. I went to Radio Row that week, and so I remember getting back. I wasn't there for the game, obviously, but I remember getting back that week, and I burnt out, just tired. Man, that was a busy work week. I didn't have to go anywhere this week. Just sitting down, enjoying one more football game with some pals. It was fabulous. It wasn't high flying or high scoring or terribly high octane, certainly on the offensive side. It's kind of remarkable that the Seahawks did that basically without Jackson Smith and Jigba. Just not a real factor. Leaves to go get checked out, comes back, didn't really matter. Certainly changed how the Patriots were defending them, but we're going to talk about a few of the things as the title of the show lays out. What can the Chiefs learn from that game? We are going to get to a few of those things, and it's mostly defensive. But I wanted to just share some game observations because I haven't watched a random team Super Bowl with largely casual football fans in quite a long time. And the stuff that stood out from that Super Bowl last night is different than the stuff that stands out when I'm just watching a football game in the focus of a dark basement. First of all, special teams get the people going. I know they've had a strange year. I don't want more kicker importance in general, but man, nothing fires up the people who do enjoy the sport of football, like down in a punt inside the 5. It's just pure electricity because, and I was explaining this to some of my captive audience. They were theoretically allowed to leave, but again, I had to talk about football. There's football on the TV. What am I going to do? Not talk about it? But like even making the point to a couple of our friends of like, those guys who made those plays are probably like the 2 lowest paid, least safe guys on the roster. That's like, dude, 51, 52, and 53 making an absolute high IQ, perfect execution play on the biggest stage in their sport. And they don't play offense or defense. They do that. It's a delight. It's really fun. A few more touchdowns and the number 1 wide receivers looking like number 1 wide receivers would have been fun, but I wasn't playing fantasy. I was enjoying defense and special teams. And like genuinely, not saying like, oh man, I'm afraid that I can't talk about Sam Darnold and Drake May. Let's figure out what we can do. It's just how the game played out. And that is a valid way to win a football game. It is a valid way to win a Super Bowl. And I do think we can lose sight of that a little bit sometimes. Another passing observation, man, Christian Gonzalez is good. Didn't end up being enough, but holy smokes, just like right on the fringe of being able to have a couple of star moments. I wonder what his path to a Super Bowl MVP would have been, because he had a couple of those plays where you're like, man, that's a guy doing it on an entirely different level. Really excellent. Kenneth Walker, future Chief Kenneth Walker, probably not at this point, honestly. Feel like you kind of want him to lay low a little bit, and keep that market price down. And he did the opposite of laying low. So, future Seahawk Kenneth Walker. He a couple of times, and I think Collinsworth talked about it on the broadcast as well. So again, basically in the triangle of the folks who came over to watch the game, there was probably like 3 to 5 of those people care about football on kind of more than like the casual, hangout level, and then about the same don't really. Kenneth Walker had one of those runs where we were like all independently started saying the name Le'Veon Bell. Well, it's like, who he looks like? Just Le'Veon Bell. Collinsworth says, Le'Veon, you look like Le'Veon Bell back there. And we all just freak out. One of my friends is a Steelers fan. We're like, it looks like him. He's back. I don't know what Kenneth Walker's going to make this offseason. A good amount of money, I assume. But man, it was just fun to see that kind of patience from a running back again. I really like him. Probably not going to be a Chief at this point. A defensive touchdown in the Super Bowl. Oh, brought the house down. Just electric. Again, just one of those moments where you can tell something is happening outside of the normal flow of the game, and just an explosive exclamation point for what had been a remarkable performance from the Seahawks defense. I'm leaving the halftime and commercial conversation until Tucker hops in here in a little bit, so I'm saving all of that for a few minutes. You got the sack tackling alignment along with the quarterback, one of the single coolest things you can do on a football field. It really felt like a pretty excellent showcase of the sport of football if you don't care about quarterbacks and wide receivers, which the sport has been completely rebranded for over the last 10 or 15 years, maybe. I don't want them all to be like this. I don't want every Super Bowl to be the defensive struggle that goes that way. Adam Gase was just hired by the Chargers. Breaking news from Tucker. What? Does he get a press conference? What's his job title? That's exciting. But I don't need every Super Bowl to be a defensive struggle. I still like, Patrick Mahomes throwing deep balls. I still like high scoring and high octane, high flying, all that. That's still my preferred flavor of football. But I found myself really enjoying what we got last night. And 2 parts of it stood out to me from the Chiefs side. I'm going to hit that here in a minute, but first, a couple of comments coming through. First from Absolute saying, Walker looked good, but no receiver awareness. We can pass on him. I did think when I think it was just a straight-up drop over on the sidelines, and Collinsworth was like, yeah, he's a great runner, but he can't pass protect or pass catch. And I was like, okay, well, that was probably all the scouting report we really needed. Probably not a Chief. That's a very fair point. Scott asked if I'm currently wearing the jersey you had to mail in the Frosted Flakes boxes for the 94 Olympics. I do believe that's true. There is a General Mills logo on the sleeve of this Team USA hockey jersey I'm wearing right now. Appreciate you shouting that out and giving me an excuse to talk about it, Scott. This was an eBay find a little while ago, I think. It's nice and breezy because it's 60-some degrees out right now, and I've got my window open. Maybe that's why I'm just in I had friends over, watched a good, fun Super Bowl, and it's warm out. Maybe that's all we need. We had a very cold couple of months, both content and football-wise and, environmentally. Anyway. The two things here. Oh, and I wanted to go to this comment from Alec that I will we'll talk about more with the commercials. Alec said Pokemon was a solid 1 minute of just a franchise ad for the 30th anniversary, which reportedly cost more than their entire budget for Pokemon Legends ZA. And if you include, Alec did some of the math, if you include the cost of the ad space and the cost of Trevor Noah and Lady Gaga, that probably tracks. They don't spend as much money making their games as you would expect for the biggest franchise in the world. But, such is life sometimes. I can't wait for them to spend money to make a Pokemon game someday. Oh, that'll be fun. I'll be 90, but man, it'll be exciting. Scott said he got one of these jerseys with his name on the back and everything. That's exciting. And thanks for joining, Absolute, giving us a nice comment and joining in on the running back conversation. We're always live Mondays and Fridays, noon to 1 here on the KCSN YouTube channel. Then the podcast goes out to just everything else. Wherever you get your podcast, you can search for it there. Lots of ways to enjoy the show. I appreciate everybody joining in for what will be also a fun Chiefs offseason here, because it's an important one. And there are some decisions to be made, not just at 9, but with whatever free agency money you get and however you create it. So I had two things. One that was really more during the flow of the game, and then one thinking about it more this morning and later in the game that made me think about the Chiefs, and specifically, of course, in a game like that one, thinking about the Chiefs' defense on a few different levels here. It did, for at least a little while, make me rethink the cornerback strategy just a little bit. Christian Gonzalez is a superstar. And the Seahawks have so much defensive talent all the way through that you can't just say, oh, it's their secondary, because we're going to talk about their D-line in a minute. Spoiler. But I think as we've gotten going in this offseason from the Chiefs' perspective, I think a lot of the next step planning, kind of conventional wisdom, at least within this very, intense Chiefs fandom space that we occupy now. I don't think, First Take is talking about Trent McDuffie. But I think a lot of Chiefs fans have gotten to the point where they're going, okay, well, and I'm here too. I'm not putting myself out of this group. I'm kind of in this headspace too. Think, well, okay, Noah Williams is like an NFL starter. I think he's going to be okay. Christian Fulton played 2 really good games at the end of the year. He's probably getting kept, so maybe he can be one of your starters. And then, Chris Roman Wallace and Shamari Connor, maybe those are your slot defenders. And then you can trade McDuffie for picks. You're probably going to lose Jalen Watson. Maybe you can pay Brian Cook, but it's very, very, very hard to keep that band together. Almost impossible. And it's just hard to keep 2 out of those 3 for the long haul. You just run out of room. Cap space and roster investments. They nailed the defensive backfield so completely in that draft class that brought in, the huge draft class that brought in basically an entire new defense that kind of rebuilt that unit almost overnight. And you're just at the end of that, of the fruits of your labor there, because now you don't get Jalen Watson on a super tiny rookie contract. Obviously, Josh Williams has kind of fallen off that way, and McDuffie's the big one, or you still have him under the 5th-year option, but again, the clock is ticking on what you want to do with Trent McDuffie. So again, I think a lot of us, myself included, have at least kind of gotten to that point of like, okay, man, I hate to lose Trent McDuffie. But if the Rams will give you their own first round pick this year, you can use that on another player who's going to give you 5 years if you pick up their option, although that's no guarantee. And you'd really like to be able to invest in some other places. You're probably losing Leo Chanel. None of these are like strong predictions, but just kind of thinking about how the market's coming around when you as the Chiefs have to pick so few spots to pay the guys you want to keep around, and they've paid George Karlaftis and they've paid Nick Bolton. What do you do with specifically the secondary and the defensive line? And this was kind of the idea of a couple of shows ago. We talked about you're always going to be picking what you can really reinvest in and what you're going to survive with maybe a lesser investment than you'd like. The cornerback part of this is reactionary. I don't think this is a super high football take. I don't think that watching the Super Bowl should make you change your offseason plans. But I did have that thought on a few occasions of like, man, are we overthinking Trent McDuffie in particular? Do you just have a blue chip defender who you should just pay so you don't have to find another blue chip defender? I don't know that Brian Cook or Jalen Watson are absolute top tier guys. Are you going to pay one of them at a lower price? Or are you going to keep the more elite player? Is Trent McDuffie willing to be a slot defender 80 or 90% of the time, when it's available at least? They obviously made that very tough call on L'Jarius Sneed, but there was so much injury concern surrounding all of that. It's just complicated in a way that I want to revisit a little bit. Now, there were a couple of comments here that have gotten just a step ahead of me. Relax, everybody. I'm not going to forget the guys up front, okay? I'm with you. Derek said, Seattle showed KC we need to draft D-line, Rubin or Bailey in the trenches to keep only rushing 4 and keeping the corners and safeties covering. Squiddles Fiddles said, if Veach watched that Super Bowl and didn't immediately decide he's getting 4 to 6 new D-linemen between free agency and the draft, then I don't know what we're doing. That's the other thing. The star-level play from the secondary is really fun. And important. Again, the McDuffie-Sneed thing, like, don't ever forget how much they mattered for this defense. I don't want us to end up gaslit back into this place where it's like, well, the cornerbacks don't matter if you have the pass rush. They're married. The D-line matters less the better your secondary is. The secondary matters less the better your D-line is. It's just, you're on a scale. There are lots of theories about where you should build. For a long time, I was team build in the trenches and then figure out the secondary later. I've seen the Chiefs do the inverse of that very successfully. Now I think you can do it either way. Now, the best way to do it is to do what the Seahawks have done and to just have excellent players everywhere all the time and like an excellent defensive mind behind it. That's the best way to do it. It's just very hard. There was, right before the Drake May interception, I was shouting to my, again, captive audience. I was like, oh, you can tell the Seahawks are just having fun. They're just firing weird bleep, weird pressures. The defensive line's pinning their ears back. It's just the defense on their front foot. Blood in the water football. And like a second later, May threw that pick. It felt great. After that, I was like, here's a guy. And then everyone left. I don't know. I was just doing that just to the dogs. Hopper stayed there, and I was just looking at Hopper, the 3-legged miniature schnauzer, trying to call out coverages. I don't think he picked it up. But it was so much fun to watch that defense in that headspace. Little sprinkle of an extra defensive topic here. I haven't seen the Chiefs defense having that kind of fun as a unit in a very long time. And we talked about this a little bit off of a Seth piece from in the season. We talked about it on Weird Games. I don't think we ever talked about it here. Where just the Chiefs don't run a lot of stunts and twists and games in that defensive line. And that's partially because you want to make sure you've got like lane discipline defending the run. It's partially because that's just kind of how Spags does it. A lot of Spags' weird stuff comes from extra defenders coming from different places. You bring a linebacker or a DB on a blitz, maybe it's a sim pressure, and one of your defensive ends drops back into a little bit of a coverage. Like, Spags does weird stuff all the time, don't get me wrong there. But just specifically those defensive line games, he doesn't do it at least as often as, like, the Seahawks team was doing it, with talent advantages in so many places. So, the long and short of it, from my perspective, from the Chiefs' perspective here, is that I wouldn't want to be a Falcons fan ever, I guess, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to be a Falcons fan right now, or a fan of any of these teams in, like, quarterback purgatory who might say, well, you know what? If we go get Mac Jones and we build him a Seahawks-level defense, we can win the Super Bowl. Because I guess you can. I mean, the Niners have gotten very close with a couple of different quarterbacks. Freaking Sam Darnold's just the one who got it done. But I wouldn't want to be any of those teams saying, no, if we can go get Mac Jones and we just build the best defense in football, we can win the whole thing. You can, but you're not going to. Building the best defense in football is really hard. Doing it, well, and I don't know where Darnold's salary cap hits really balloon. I assume it's over the next year. I don't want to be like gaslighting myself into a quarterback-free team build, but you're the Chiefs. That's not the question. That doesn't matter. For the Chiefs, the question is, how do you build a good enough defense for the Mahomes-led offense to just have their life get a little bit easier? And my gut from Super Bowl 60 is that I am maybe one step further away from hitting the trade button on Trent McDuffie. And maybe in conflict, I'm another couple of steps closer to drafting the best defensive lineman available at 9. And maybe paying the best defensive lineman you can pay in free agency. And I feel okay about that take, because I don't think that's reactionary. I don't think that's an overreaction to one game where a team that we didn't expect to be there was going to be the one to pull off this unbelievable story. $42 million cap hit for Sam Darnold next year. $38 million cap hit for Sam Darnold next year. Thank you, Tucker. What was it this year? Did they get away with like a really low cap hit in 2025? 13.4. Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, this was the year for the Seahawks to have Sam Darnold and pay him like you'd like to pay Sam Darnold. Next year, he's getting closer to $40 million against the cap. So like that's the game you have to play there. But from the Chiefs side, again, you don't have to build the Seahawks defense. It does not have to be as overwhelming at all levels as that unit seems to be. And I think you have Steve Spagnuolo, a guy who will use his talent well if you give him some more matchup winners. He doesn't have very many of those, which again makes me at least have a little harder time saying goodbye to Trent McDuffie, because he is one of those guys. But not as consistently on the outside, not quite. And he's had a couple of tough moments now where you go, is that the best corner in football? I don't know. Is he the best slot defender in football when he is covering in the slot? I still think he is. But that's a little bit more complicated, it seems, than just putting him in that position. So those were the few things from the Chiefs' perspective, and just things from what I really did feel like was a fun game. But that might have just been because of, just a lot of AI ads, both for the companies and using the technology in a way that really got us off to a hot start in that first quarter. We'll take a brief timeout here. In fact, you're going to get a little peek if you're on the video feed of a rarely seen excellent little window into everything else back-end production here. We'll take a timeout. We'll bring Tucker in, and then we'll chat about his time in San Francisco. Tucker has a brand new video coming out just about an hour and a half from right now as we're live here. If you're listening on the podcast, it's probably already up on the KCSN YouTube channel. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about? Well, that's actually it. We'll talk about that next. let's talk about it. Tucker Franklin, back from the Bay Area. Why don't you just first and foremost tell people what's going to be hitting their YouTube feed at 2 o'clock Central, the live premiere. I might just make sure I'm locked in for the live premiere.
Yeah, live premiering at 2 o'clock Central Time. Tucker Does, a video series that I actually think this video series was concocted by BJ Kissel. And he had called me one time and was like, hey, what if you just like do stuff and video it? And I was like, be more specific. But no, I thought it was a really good idea. So this time I went to San Francisco and I thought, what a better opportunity to record myself doing stuff than in San Francisco for the Super Bowl. So it's a vlog, basically. It is a vlog. And I'm not going to show it on the show, Seamus. I appreciate you.
Very funny.
Like, all right, let's just show it right now.
Play it now.
Yeah. But at 2 p.m., I will be in the chat as well. It's premiering, so there'll be a live chat going as well. We'll be hanging out, talking about it. I tweeted out about it. I think I did a really good job with the thumbnail. I'm happy with the thumbnail for it. I tweeted it out. It's the first edition, so I'm going to do several more of these. Next one, I think, is going to be Indianapolis, unless there's something else that comes up for the Combine. It's just a little bit of like behind the scenes content, because you guys know we talk about the Chiefs here, and a lot of times we get a lot of questions about what we do. It's like, yeah, you guys do all this content, but like what goes into it? I figured it would be a good look behind the scenes, especially on a trip where I was nearly 100% flying solo this trip. I did get to spend lots of time with our good buddy Matt Verderame as we were sharing the same hotel room, which shout out to him. He was awesome on the trip. And Matt had been to San Francisco before, so he kind of helped me out, kind of guide me away. I did not meet Bad Bunny. I wish I did.
Too bad. I was looking out there at halftime. I thought you flew back already, but I was looking out there at the halftime show. I thought maybe you were in one of the bushes. You know,
I would have been a bush, and they would have had to pay me. I would have actually paid to be a bush, I think.
Yes.
In the halftime show, I'd be like, "What? I was bush 175. You didn't see me out there?
You didn't see me, dude. I was grooving.
Come on.
I guess you could just tell people you were one, and then wait for someone to disprove it.
That's a good idea. Okay, Chad, act like I didn't say that. We're gonna tell people I was a bush.
This is they're gonna cut this out of the podcast feed. We'll just the video knows.
Right. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I had a really good time in San Francisco. I really loved the city. I went out to the Golden Gate Bridge. I was like, because I got to go out there, right? Because you're in San Francisco, got to go out there. Because I felt like it was obligatory. If you're in San Francisco, you got to go see that bridge. And then when I went out there, I was like, this bridge is actually really cool. Like, this is like a super, super sick. And I kind of felt like I texted Verderame because I went by myself. I can't remember what Verderame was doing. I think he went to go play pickleball, which hilarious, by the way. The dude brought his pickleball racket and an extra ball. Hilarious. He is a phenomenal individual. I love it. So he went to go play pickleball, and I was like, I'm going to go to the Golden Gate Bridge. First I was going to walk there, and then I realized it was going to be a 4-mile walk. And I said,
that's a bit of a jaunt.
Probably not. And then the hills in San Francisco, no joke. Like, I thought when we were talking about like San Francisco hills, I was like, these are just like soft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just thought that these were like some soft West Coasters. No, I mean, they are. Josh, these hills are so steep. They have the sidewalk, but then they also put stairs next to the sidewalk.
That's nuts. I didn't know that. That's a good detail.
Yeah, I was I watched to Chinatown because where we stayed was not very far from Chinatown. Right? It was like a 0.8 miles. So it was like a mile walk to Chinatown. It was nice. Went through a couple districts with some very high-end places like Louis Vuitton, YSL, Valentino, like all those like really high-end stores and on the way to Chinatown. So
do you ever go in anywhere and just like ask for a bag you can carry your stuff in or something? Like, hey, I'll give you, I guess, what $50 for a bag? I don't know how this works.
Yeah, San Francisco is also an incredibly expensive place. Like it is, it's pretty expensive out there to just buy stuff. So, look, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to watch it all with you guys and get your guys' live reactions too. Got to have some great conversations out there as well. Matt Castle, Justin Reed, Mitch Morris, all three of those guys are so gracious enough with some of their time to sit down and just talk with me on the side of Media Row, which was busting, man. It was busting that win or that Thursday, I think, is when I went and did a lot of it. I went Friday as well, but like Friday's like the real slow down day. I think the next time I go to the Super Bowl when the Chiefs are in it next year, right? And I go to the
Yes.
Super Bowl. I've already booked my flights out there to LA because that's what I was telling everybody too. They're like, "How come you're here? The Chiefs aren't in it." Nate Tice, first person, like one of the first guys I saw. Nate was like, "Why are you here? The Chiefs aren't here." And I was like, "Well, my ticket was non-refundable, and I booked it already, so I thought that like the Chiefs are gonna be." Yeah, I was like, I thought the Chiefs are gonna be here. But Mitch was a phenomenal guy. BJ had shot him a text prior to me like leaving, be like, "Hey, Tucker's gonna be there," and because Mitch was talking about how he's gonna be there, he would love to catch up with you and
help him work on his pass sets.
Right, yeah, and he was such a kind individual, and you never tell you to meet your heroes, but like Mitch Morse, if Mitch Morse is your hero, definitely meet that guy because he was maybe just genuinely cared about like me, and it was really cool for me to sit there and be like, yeah. I'm a Mizzou Chiefs fan, so you playing for the Chiefs was a very cool thing for me in like 2013. Very impressionable age for me. I was 15 years old and I was playing high school football and I was a center and I wanted to be an offensive lineman for the University of Missouri and didn't get that opportunity, but you were an offensive lineman for the University of Missouri and then you played for my favorite football team. So very cool to finally meet and talk with you. And he was very just a very nice and very awesome human. Justin Reed the same way. When I just fun story about this, Justin, how this Justin Reed conversation happened.
Yeah.
I don't think I tell this in the Tucker Does video, so you're getting a little bit of bonus. So
I
get done with the conversation with Mitch. I was like, okay, cool. It's like it was about a 10-minute conversation. It's like I need about like 10 more minutes to make it a podcast, right? Like we usually try to shoot for about 20 minutes. 20 minutes is what we like to shoot for like the minimum of a podcast. Now, there's not anything. There's not like we have to hit a minimum, right? So 20 is usually what I like give people a bang for the buck. So I was like, if I can get one more good like 10-minute conversation, if I can get 2 5-minute conversations, right? That's good.
And
So
usually being on Radio Row, you're doing the math at this point. You're like, okay, so I could get 5 minutes with Darren Ravel and and someone else. I don't know who yet, but Darren Ravel's always there.
So yeah, there's all kinds of people walking around. I got to tell Adam Devine and the Workaholics guys that I was like big fan of your guys' product and program.
Huge.
So that was really gratifying to talk to those guys and they'll be like, that's awesome. I was like, yeah, I didn't study it all during finals week. And that's actually the semester I hit for the cycle. I watched Workaholics that whole finals week and I didn't tell him the cycle part, but I should have. I think Adam Devine would have appreciated that. But he said I agree. He said that like, look at you now, you're here. So it must have worked. And I was like,
I'm telling you, that's very validating.
Yeah, thank you, Adam Devine.
Justin Reed, how the Justin Reed conversation came around.
Yes,
I interrupted your train of thought.
No, that's okay. So, like, I think you did a great job setting the scene of, like, Media Row. It's just, like, and that's kind of a part of it, too, is you're just having people fly at you all the time. Yes. And you've got to be, the other part of it is you have to be, like, ready. When you say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? You can't be like, okay, let me get this set up. You can't take
you
a minute.
Genuinely should probably be recording while you're walking around trying to get people. It's
100%.
really hectic. It's very strange.
And so I was walking past and I saw Justin Reed and I was like, okay, I'll keep a mental note. That's where Justin Reed is. I actually saw when I went to go pick up my credential, Justin Reed was there too at picking up the credential. And I almost said something like, hey, Justin, man, like big fan, like love to catch up or something like that. But I didn't. I was like, no, it's okay. I won't. He's getting a credential. I'll probably see him in there. It's kind of like my thought process, right? And I walk past him and I see the iHeartRadio booth in Matt Castle. And I was like, is there a chance that like Matt Castle remembers me from the OG breakdown days? Like we just did like a podcast for like one season before he went to like NBC Sports. He started doing a little bit more Notre Dame stuff. He started doing a little bit more college football. He's doing the podcast, on iHeartRadio. And he got a little bit busy, so then we switched to Chase Daniel with the breakdown. If you guys know any of that KCSN breakdown lore with Matt Hamilton, and it was Matt Castle first, and then it went to. It's like there's no way, right? There's no way that Matt Castle's gonna remember me. I walk up to him. I'd be like, "Hey, Matt." I said, "Hey, Matt, Tucker Frankel with KCSN." He's like, "Oh yeah, what's up, dude?" He's like, "Why'd you introduce yourself?" He's like, So Matt was incredible. I love. Awesome. He's always been so awesome and so gracious.
He seems like he realizes that he's Matt Castle.
Yes,
and I mean that in both senses of like, look, like you are famous. You are successful. You have had success on every level, despite a weird stepping into the spotlight eventually, like a strange career path as far as NFL quarterbacks go. But like, you have been successful, and I've never heard a bad word about the guy, either from like playing days or media days. But he also doesn't treat himself like he's God's gift to football. It feels like he has enjoyed the ride, like in a way that makes him. I've been very glad to see him get a little bit of that shine in his post playing career, because he just seems like a really stand up dude.
And here's the thing too: is he's not ignorant to the fact that the time in Kansas City didn't go well.
Right, yeah, he was here. He knows.
Yeah, he's well aware. He's not trying to make it all sunshine and rainbows when he talks about Kansas City, right?
I think he's enjoyed getting to tell some of those Todd Haley stories.
Yes, to show that it's like, hey, it wasn't all me, guys. It wasn't all me sucking here. Yes. So I see him, and I was like, hey, Matt, like, if I can get like 5 to 10 minutes of your time, he's like, yeah, dude, I'll be done in an hour. He's like, we're doing the media, like, you know, they bring those people in, they just do like 15 minutes, like just churn them out, right?
Yes.
Especially those podcasts. And he's like, I got this for an hour. He's like, come back at 12:30. I got you. Whatever you need.
He's hosting interviews, correct?
Yes, he's hosting interviews. Awesome. Yeah. So he's hosting with like Rob Riggle, I think was the one he had just before he interviewed with me.
Hilarious.
So like he had a bunch of interviews. And then I'm walking over because I was like, man, I got to find somebody else. Like I want to have at least 3 interviews. I think 3 interviews would be good. And I walk over to Matt Hamilton. I'd already talked to Matt Hamilton there, but I went back to be like, who else can I get? Like, kind of brainstorm, like, scout it out. I walk over there. Justin Reed is talking to Matt Hamilton. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, he's talking to me because they had just had him on. Remember, he just did that whole thing about how he thought Bo Nix was the best quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you bring that up with him? I haven't. I
didn't. I didn't bring it up until Tara asked me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he did that.
I was gonna just slide into the frame like Matt Hamilton, Justin Reed, and I just kind of imagine you just Collinsworth slide.
Yeah. Well.
Oh,
okay.
Hey Matt. Hey Hamilton. What's up?
Pretty much. That's kind of what happened, and then so Hamilton was talking to his PR rep, Giovanna, I believe is her name. Wonderful. I met Giovanna at the Mizzou Pro Day when I went back to the Mizzou Pro Day. That would have been last draft cycle, right?
Yeah.
I met Giovanna there. She reps a ton of the Chiefs. Like she's in Kansas City. Like I met her and I was like, oh hey, how are you doing? And she's like, we cannot find Matt Castle's booth. We have Matt Castle next. And I said, I know exactly where Matt Castle is.
Am I the guy for you?
I was like, and Matt was like, oh, that's perfect. He's like, Tucker, well, take him over there. And I was like, yeah, I got you. And then Justin was like, hey, man, what's your name? I was like, Tucker. Yeah, I'll take you over to Castle. And he's like, awesome, man, I'll follow you. And then we were chatting a little bit. And I was like, yeah, you know, I am in from Kansas City. And he's like, why'd you come? from Kansas City. And I was like, yeah, I had the ticket already. And he thought that was funny. I was using that joke over and over, right, as a good icebreaker.
You're meeting 1,000 people. You got to have a couple jokes.
Yeah, and so that one felt pretty good. Justin Reed thought that was funny. I dropped him off, and Castle's still talking to, I don't remember who it was at that point, but they're just standing there like, okay, all right. And they're like kind of collecting their bearings. I was like, actually, Justin, do you have like 5 minutes? Can I get like 5 minutes with you and just like chat? And he's like, no, yeah, dude, for sure. Let's do it. And Giovanna was like, yeah, we're supposed to interview somebody at like, I can't remember what time it was at this point. Like, we had somebody who was going to interview, but we don't know where he is. It's like, okay, sweet, that's perfect. And I set up the tripod, the mic, make sure the mic's on. We do that interview. We rip it real quick. Talk a little bit about Spag. I actually had a legit question I wanted to ask him about Spags, and I said, talk about Spags a little bit, and then I was going to go into my like prelude to my question, and then he just went off. He's like, okay, Spags, I love him. And so I was talking about how much he loves Spags. So that was an awesome conversation. The Castle conversation was great. It was even better the second time because I forgot to turn the mic on the first time.
No! Yeah. Oh, it's a heartbreaking. Oh, I've been there, Tucker. Oh, I've been there and it hurts.
It does. And I said, Matt, I hate to do this, but we got to do it again.
Take two. Matt, take two.
He said, that's fine. That's good.
In fairness, he's had 100 of the same conversations in that week already, so it's not.
I think our second one was better than the first one. I will say that.
And like, just, hi, I'm going to take 10 more minutes and talk to Tucker instead of talking to, I hope I don't step on anybody's toe, instead of talking to bounty paper towels, you know? Like.
Man, we laid into bounty.
Did you really? Okay. Yeah. I have not.
We're not getting any bounty or Fanatic sponsorships anytime soon.
I knew about Fanatics. I can't remember. Maybe you talked about the bounty one in one of the hotel bed episodes. I think I listened to the first. Okay, maybe that's why that was in there then.
Yeah.
I did. This is not related to you directly. Did you see Adonai Mitchell out there by any chance?
No, I didn't.
He was out there, which I only know because I follow Dexcom on Instagram because like sometimes they put their news there and stuff. That's the continuous glucose monitor. I've got one in my abdomen right now. Every 5 minutes it tells me what my blood sugar is. I have diabetes if you're new here. And so I clicked, I was like, oh, what's Dexcom got here? Because usually they'll just be like, hey, offices are closed on this holiday, or like sometimes something interesting happens. And so I clicked it. And the Dexcom page, it was like a Sirius XM desk, and then Sterling Holmes. I was like, wait a second. I know that. Wait a second. Why am I looking? And Sterling was talking to AD Mitchell because he was doing the Radio Row circuit for Dexcom. So if you need like a diabetes connection at any point, let me know. I can give you some tips if you want to ask some like really precise. So, AD, tell us more about why the Dexcom 15-day sensor provides 30% longer wear time for diabetic patients. Like I could set you up on those for sure.
That's good. It's good to know. And there's a little bit. So it's a fine line to kind of try to figure out at these Media Row things, because there is a potential for you to get hundreds of interviews. Yeah. But here's the other part when I am trying to, and why I ultimately only did 3 interviews is because I could have gotten so many more.
Yes.
But who's going to watch all of them? Who's going to listen to all of them? Right. Who is going to care enough about, again, just to use AD Mitchell, for instance. Why would a Chiefs fan care about AD Mitchell? Like he plays for the Colts. Or wait, no, he doesn't. He plays for the Jets. Now. Yeah, he plays for the Jets. And he's promoting a product, Dexcom, which like could be relevant to some people. But again, it's promoting a product. It's Jeremiah Love was going around with Sharpie. Would it have been cool for me to get Jeremiah Love? Yeah, but what if I had to talk about Sharpie for 5 minutes out of the 10-minute interview? Yeah, I would have. It's like there's a little bit of it, and like Sterling Holmes loves Sterling. I got to catch up with him for a little bit, sat around at the fan side of booth.
Loves this kind of thing. Like he's built for it.
He loves it, and he loves the grind. He looked so tired when I saw him. He looked exhausted, and this was Friday, right? Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah, I've done like 150 interviews this week," and I was like, "Buddy, like that is intense." So, man. When I had saw him, just strange coincidence enough, like I'd gone to Media Row. Sterling was like, I've got 2 interviews left. It's like Jeff Ross was his last one, right? The roast.
See, that's also always like, sorry, you went from Jack Youngblood to Jeff Ross. Yeah. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's very jarring.
I was supposed to interview Diplo one year. He didn't show.
Damn.
It was fine. I didn't care.
That's a bummer. Robert Irwin was there all the time.
Oh yeah,
and
I saw you tweet about saying hi to him or something.
Yeah, I said, "Hey Rob," and he said, "How you doing?" In his Australian accent. And I was like, "This is the coolest moment of my life. That's Dancing with the Stars champion Robert Irwin." But no, he had a snake that he was carrying around one of those days too, just like around his neck. I've got a video of him talking to Jordan Mailata. Also Australian.
Yeah, sure.
They were just like chatting together, and that was the day that they announced that like the NFL was going to Australia. So everyone was just like, let's bring out every Australian we know.
All right, what Australians do we know?
Kangaroo Jack came out there. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'm running out of Australians.
Right, that's all I know. How Ridiculous, that YouTube channel. Have you seen that YouTube channel? They just throw shit off of high places and like, that's crazy. Just a very dude channel.
Howard Iculus sounds like a radio show host. Yeah, you said how ridiculous, and I was like, how ridiculous. I don't think that's our new character. I'm gonna write that down.
That is a good character actually to have. But so I was going around. I asked Sterling. I was like, he's got 2 more interviews. Jeff Ross was his last one. I was like, oh, who do you have right now? He's like, oh, I got West Wilson. I was like, oh, my dog West.
My boy's here.
He interviews with Sterling for a little bit. I just chat with him. He's promoting Captain Morgan, and that's kind of a little bit of a conflict of interest between Holiday Distillery and Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need to put anyone in that situation, right? So I just talked to Wes for about like 10 minutes, to a point where his team, he had like 7 people with him. They're just like, we gotta go, we're late. And he's like, we're fine. He's like, we're good. And he was just like chatting to me about, Summer House just came out and there's been a lot of buzz around that. He's been doing a lot of press. He went to Fallon like 2 nights before that when we were talking. He was on Jimmy Fallon. Super cool. But yeah, you never know what you're going to run into. And then that was the day I decided I was going to travel all around San Francisco, and you guys can see that in the video.
We're like an hour away from that. I am extremely excited.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to rip some halftime and commercial takes?
I would love to.
In fact, I don't think we need this real graphic yet. I don't know. Do we go to clip this? Do we go to distracted? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Clip it if you want. I don't even endorse. I think, oh, that's fine. We'll go back to that then. Mm-hmm. I'm going to rip through commercial takes first because frankly, it's not going to take as long. Here's what I wrote down. The Minions appearance really crushed in the room. None of us are going to see the movie. Guy Fieri, I was a little bit concerned it was going to be kind of cringe when he like tweeted out the promos of him as like a normal guy. They cut back and forth a bunch. It was funny. Guy Fieri paid off. I think that was my favorite commercial that we had. Not a great slate is my spoiler take here. Not a great slate of commercials. Like Guy Fieri, so much AI. Levi's jeans showed us a lot of butts, many of them famous. We all agreed that Andy Cohen needs a new look. And I'm probably gonna leave it at, there's another very famous person that has kind of that aesthetic, He's in the news a lot. And it cut to Andy Cohen and we were all like, that looks like somebody else. And so I don't know what he can do with that, but just several of us independently were like, is that okay? Andy Cohen should, I don't know, grow it out, dye his hair. Something has to change. What did Sabrina Carpenter do to the Pringles man? That was just a thing I wrote down. We need more answers on that. My friend Grant said the phrase horses are bastards during the Budweiser commercial where the horse doesn't immediately stomp that baby bald eagle to death. Yeah. It was like, that horse would have stomped that baby bird. Horses are bastards. I just thought that was a good take.
It's a great point.
I've had enough Mr. Beast. And the Tauntauns in the Star Wars movie trailer was kind of cool. But Alec made the point earlier that like Marvel totally stayed out of this one, and that was the only Star Wars thing. The Pokemon thing was kind of underwhelming. So yeah, kind of underwhelming. Worried about the Pringles man, Andy Cohen, and I think Guy Fieri landed that campaign. Can't remember what it was for.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those on that front. Think there's entirely too much AI.
Just a lot.
When I was going into San Francisco, there's a billboard into San Francisco from the San Francisco airport heading into the city that says "Welcome to AI Country."
No one's proud of that.
Big bummer, actually. I saw that.
Yes.
And I said, "Damn."
Yeah. No one actually wants that.
That made me real bummed out.
All right, you want to talk about the halftime show?
That did not make me bummed out.
Tell you what.
Kid Rock did great.
This is an iteration on a joke you said. I don't want it to make it sound like I don't want to steal your thunder, but I was going to just say that I actually didn't understand any of the words in either halftime show, so I just think we should all relax. Okay, do you want my take first? Do you want to get your take out first? I truly do not care. I want you to have room to stretch your legs. I've got 3 bullet points.
No, you got it. It's all yours. Your show.
Okay. I think a lot of life is probably determined by how well you handle things that aren't personally addressed to you. Because most of life won't be, but the internet, in particular, has really incentivized complaining. And the internet has so many hyper-specific, hyper-specialized forms of content that we've all gotten very used to picking our thing. This show is an example of that. Mm-hmm. There are many more serious Chiefs podcasts you could listen to. Presumably you're here because you like this one. I'm eternally grateful for that. But we have way fewer shared cultural events now than we used to, because we don't just all watch the same channel. We don't all listen to the same podcast. We don't all watch the Olympic opening ceremonies. I didn't watch NFL honors. No one's going to make you watch the Oscars. If you don't want to watch the Oscars, you have the rest of the history of media to consume instead. But most of us watch the Super Bowl. It's one of very few, like, legit touchstones that we have.
True.
You can sit through 10 minutes of a musical, interesting halftime show that's not addressed to you. I think that's okay. I didn't know Bad Bunny. I didn't know Bad Bunny from the wrestling stuff that I remember you guys talking about when he, apparently immediately had a hit for that. I think I saw him in Bullet Train. I think he's in Bullet Train. Is that right?
Yeah.
I knew him from that. And that is a minimal touchstone. The show was fun. The music is good. The cinematography was excellent. I read a whole thread about some of the symbology of all of these Puerto Rican references. It was an excellent halftime show. I think I had maybe heard one or two of those songs before. And that's okay. We can just be here we can just enjoy something together. If we could all just agree on being able to do that. That's all I ask. Not everything's for you. I'm not a huge Rihanna fan. I'm not an enormous The Weeknd guy. I enjoyed those halftime shows. If I had my druthers, we would alternate between The Killers and Tyler, the Creator every year. But I don't think they should actually do that. I think that's probably nuts. I think Tyler's got kind of a shot. I think Tyler might actually be there in a couple of years. I'm just putting that into the world. It seems like that could be his trajectory if he wants it. He could put on a hell of a show. But that's where I'm at now. I just think we could all probably be a little bit better of just kind of being able to, finding the ability to go, oh, that's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's good and it's okay. And that's what I would like people to do. Of course they won't.
Yeah. I always think it's funny when you talk about things not being for you. When people... We do these remakes, when Disney specifically does remakes of like old movies, Lilo and Stitch being one of them that just recently came out, right? They do the live action remakes, Lion King, and people like myself and you, Josh, who grew up with when those movies came out, when the originals came out, get upset about like the remakes. Right. It's just like, hey, that's not for you. Or like when people get upset that they're doing a Nickelodeon broadcast. Like a SpongeBob version of the football game. Like, hey, again, not for you. I do think that is very important, that not everything is for you specifically, and that's okay. Like, that is actually totally okay.
It's the only way it can be.
Yes.
That you can't have the entire world tailored to every person. You got a huge buffet menu here.
100%.
You don't go to a buffet and go, ooh, this looks nice. Ooh, this looks like, ugh! Chicken Alfredo? I'm leaving! Like that, everyone would look at you like a lunatic.
Yeah. I don't, especially when you think of it from the NFL's perspective of, the NFL's about to play more international games than they're going to play ever in the history of ever. Yeah. And next year, the year after that, I guarantee you they'll play more international games than they played last year, right? They're going to keep doing this. And what better way than doing it with an artist who is the biggest artist in the world, literally had the most streams in 2025 on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is. Bad Bunny's rhythm, his vibes, everything about it was so perfect. And if you want to be mad about the halftime show, you just want to be mad about something. There was no reason. There was no singular reason to be upset about that halftime show. I know people are going to be like, well, I couldn't understand Spanish. That doesn't matter. That does not matter. I don't understand Spanish either, and I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was great. There's plenty of people, if you look at today, breaking down all of the symbology, translating the whole thing, so you can go and enjoy what he was trying to say and what message he was trying to convey. And I think that message he's trying to convey was a phenomenal one. That's the other part of it, is that he said, we are all in this thing together. That we are all America together.
How dare you!
How dare people bring people together? What is going on? That's just absurd. And I do think that there's a little bit of like this so harsh reaction of just like this. People already had preconceived notions going into it, right? Of what they were going to do, how it was going to be. I very much enjoyed the vibe. I very much enjoyed, you mentioned the cinematography was phenomenal. The production was crazy. The sets, like, the amount of just like Easter eggs that he had in it as well, and like nods to certain things and nods to kind of Latin artists before him as well to kind of bring this all together.
And then Lady Gaga was there for a little bit. That was strange.
Lady Gaga remixed a song for it. Like that was a cool part of it. I really enjoyed it. I thought there was no reason to be upset about it. Like no logical reason to be upset about it.
Unless you're an upset person.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. I think that's a really great point by you. Is like not everything is for you, and that's okay. Like it's okay if it's not for you. I had plenty of people in my mentions be upset that it wasn't for them, but I had plenty of people say like, "Hey, this isn't necessarily my cup of tea," but that I didn't hate it. Like looked like a good time. Looked like the people there that it was for, they had a good time. So like I'm not mad about it. There's plenty of people that
Katy Perry also was not targeted at me, and I enjoyed the Katy Perry halftime show.
Yeah,
That feels like a million years ago. Left Shark.
Remember
That is
Left Shark?
exactly what was happening. As I went from, I was thinking, man, it probably would have been fun to be a Bush, to man, it would have been fun to be one of the Sharks, and that's how I got to the Katy Perry one. So good read on that. That was perfect.
There's no, yeah. Unfortunately, our brains kind of follow the same thought processes there.
It's got its ups and downs. Yeah.
I will say, like, there's not going to be a single halftime show that is for everyone.
Correct.
There will never be. Like if they do,
no, and again, I'm cool if you were like, I would like to have Bruce Springsteen every year, but I'm not like as long as you can follow that with, but I'm not going to, because that's not how it works. Like again, you mentioned the NFL going more and more international. This is not like a moral play. I'm not like, oh, I'm glad the NFL took a stand and got Bad Bunny the most, the most listened to artist of last year. They did that because he's the most listened to artist of last year. It sounds like they tried to get Taylor Swift a couple of times because it's about bringing eyeballs who might not already be tuned in to the Super Bowl. It's just capitalism, baby. The NFL's making these calls off of capitalism. That's one of the things also that I do find funny, is it seems like a lot of people who have no real notes on capitalism have lots of notes on how the NFL does it. Which I think, you could probably have some critiques for both, but I digress.
Yeah, we don't need to get into...
Seamus says some of these people didn't have to eat their veggies growing up, which made me think, what about a VeggieTales halftime show? Imagine Bob and Larry getting up there.
That would be pretty good.
Bringing the house down.
That'd be a good one.
Get the boys in the sink. I need to tell you something. He don't got a belly button. Belly button, no. Oh, no. Anyway.
I did love in VeggieTales that they didn't say that, like, they were going to heaven, right? Because they're vegetables.
It's very complicated. It's a very complicated question. But yeah,
Hilarious,
I
actually.
think they drew their line to say, hey, look, vegetables can lead you to salvation, but we got to eat vegetables.
The vegetables themselves cannot have salvation.
I mean, at that point, it'd be salivation.
Talk about a selfless act.
Hey, you know what I should have mentioned earlier that is for everybody? If you're listening right now, you've got very little time left to sign up for the February Mystery Snail Mail Art Club. I've seen the print for this month. I might get a little bit of executive producer credit on this one for being. I've been there for the birth and the evolution of this month's concept. And if you sign up right now, you can sign up for $5 a month at level 1, $10 a month at level 2, which is twice as big a print, or extra surprises in the mystery package that you get to your door every month if you go to bit.ly/mystery snail. But you got to get this one in if you want to get in on February. You say that you signed up because of everything else, and you get one of our little possum stickers. The guy that shows up at the beginning of every show. It's so excellent. I've shown you the visual aids on here many times. bit.ly/mystery snail. We've had a good number of everything else listeners sign up, and that has been very, very fun to see. So keep that train moving. Chug along on bit.ly/mystery snail. And it's so far the reviews have been rave, and the participation from everything else listeners also been excellent. So thank you to everyone who's signed up. And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? You do a whole year up front, you get 2 months free. That's a great deal.
Oh, wow.
How about that? Isn't that crazy?
That's a great bargain.
All right, well, we got to get out of here because we've only got 50 minutes before Tucker Does premieres here on the KCSN YouTube channel. I'm going to hop into the live chat because it's going to take me at least that long to get all my stuff done here. You get your suit on. I will be in my birthday suit because I'm not on screen anymore. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can watch however you want, I guess. I don't know. I'll leave that up to Tucker. That's between you and Tucker.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't tell me.
Do whatever you want. Just don't tell them. Enjoy that in mere moments, and we'll be back on Friday to talk about, well, the true start of the off season, I suppose. It's kind of scary.
Whoa.
All right, enjoy your favorite VeggieTales songs and have a good week, everybody. Till then, bye, Mom! Barbara Manatee.
I was like the sports utility vehicle song. That was my favorite one.
Which one?
Whoa, you and me in a sports utility vehicle.
Wow, yeah, I think that's slightly mid to late stage.
It is.
Song.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Belly Button is always a banger. That's one I think.
I used to definitely
where's
be
my
able to do the whole
hairbrush?
verse. Oh, where is my hairbrush? You say your belly button's missing, that's no reason for alarm. It's a common thing for fruits, it won't do you any harm. I think the next lyric is your umbilical equivocal is up there on your head, belly button. I mean, it's just great writing.
You gotta reach into a bag at some point.
You do.
Writing for vegetables, you gotta kind of. That's how you show off how good of a writer you are, is putting yourself in another person's shoes and being able to write from their perspective.
And of course, they don't have shoes because they don't have feet. But other than that, your analogy was perfect.
Their roots, yeah. Unless you're a potato, then you are the root.
They're covered in eyes, actually.
Oh. Ugh.